Welcome, beautiful souls, beautiful beings. Welcome back to Crystalline Temple. Thank you for staying in tune with my frequency, my vibration, my messages, my wisdom. We're going to be talking about the pedestal effect. You may or you may not have heard of this before. You may have found yourself participating in this certain perception, but we are going to get into it. There's a strange thing that happens when you start growing. People stop seeing you as a human and they start seeing you as symbolic. They call it admiration, but sometimes it's really just projection. They love your strength, your peace, your aura, your vibes, but not the story it took to earn them. They see the glow, not the ashes. The healed version, but not the one who bled for that light. And then suddenly, without realizing it, they've already put you on a pedestal. High enough that they cannot reach you, but close enough that they can claim to know you. This happens to all of us. We experience this all. But I'm saying all this to say, this is the difference between having a fan, having a friend. This is the difference between having someone who sees you, knows you, acknowledges you, and considers you versus someone who envies you and projects onto you. There's just so many other ways that this story could go, and there's just so many other ways that this story can be told. Overall, it is the illusion of perfection. You'd think that being put on a pedestal would be flattering at first. It's like being seen after years of being invisible. But soon it becomes heavy. Because now you are performing for the illusion. So once somebody puts you on a pedestal and you accept that, you now have to perform in an authentic way to appease this image that they have of you that you never even created in the first place. Make that make sense. And it is so subconscious that we don't realize it all the time. But once you do, this is when things start shifting. And I can say, like, I have an issue with being seen, but I feel like a lot of people who are very much so to themselves, peaceful beings, introverted, somehow are just extremely magnetic, and people just perceive you to be this almighty type of being when you just be minding your own business. Don't ask me why. I don't know. When people idolize you, what they're really saying is, I can't hold this part for myself, so I'll project it onto you. They love your calm because they can't sit with their own chaos. They love your boundaries because they're too afraid to create their own. They love your strength because they've forgotten theirs. And we can also call this being a mirror. Some of us just have the energy of reflecting what others don't have within themselves. And it's nothing intentional. It's nothing that we're trying to do. It's just when you live in your authenticity and people don't live in their authenticity, then there's an incompatibility, and then there's this mirror effect. You know, once you falter from this illusion of perfection that they have projected onto you, or you show that you are not perfect and you are still growing, they'll call it disappointing, or they'll call you fake, or they'll try to create all these stories and these narratives to try to justify why their projection of you is flawed. And it's really not because you did anything wrong. It's really just because the version of you that they loved was never real. And that has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with me. Yeah. I'm just saying. If you project onto me a version of me that you think that I am, and then that is not the version that I live authentically, and you've created this whole narrative around me, and that is not the narrative that I'm keeping up with to please your ego, then I'm so sorry. Maybe you need therapy. I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe you need some healing, maybe you need to find yourself, but ain't nobody told you to do all that. After all this happens and all of the walls crumble and their illusions hold on to dear life, and then their ego starts to feel attacked and all this mumbo jumbo, this is when the distance starts to happen. Pedestals create distance. You can't connect eye to eye when someone is looking up to you. I'm gonna say this again. You cannot connect eye to eye when someone is looking up to you because they are viewing you as something unattainable. And that is not fair to them, and that is also not fair to you. True connection only exists on level ground. When you allow things to naturally happen, when you allow things to click, when you guys are on that same frequency, that same wavelength, and y'all just start vibrating, and y'all, next thing you know, it's like 8 hours later and y'all just talking about aliens. That is where you guys can connect. But if I'm the one talking about aliens and the other person is just like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know that. You know, there's like only so much connecting you could do. And you know, I love informing people about the aliens, you know, whatever. But do your own research. If you really wanted to connect on that level, then you already should have a baseline of understanding or interest. That's all I'm saying. When someone puts you on a pedestal, they only see you as someone better or lower than them. Someone on a pedestal can be, oh my gosh, I look up to you. And then also putting someone on a pedestal could be, I'm looking down on you, because you don't know what the level of this pedestal is. All we know is it's a pedestal. Okay. People who put you on a pedestal aren't seeking closeness at the end of the day. They're just seeking comfort. And I'm sorry to break it to you, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm not. I'm not here to fill in those gaps that make you feel inadequate about yourself. You know, I'll be supportive and I'll send you loving words, but at the end of the day, you gotta put in the work. You gotta believe it. It doesn't matter how many times people tell you that you're capable of doing something. If you don't believe it, then you just aren't gonna believe it. And there's nothing anybody else can do about that. You can be mad that, oh, this person doesn't believe in me. Who cares? You gotta believe in yourself at the end of the day. Your presence used to soothe their doubt. Your energy used to make them feel safe. But they are not always ready to meet you in that same frequency. It's a lonely place being admired because you become the reflection they depend on, not the human they are trying to understand. And that's like my biggest pet peeve. You are putting me on this pedestal that you've created. Yo, I be crying in my room all the time. I be going through my deep healing journey. I be going through PTSD. I have experienced the human journey of ups and downs just as much as you. So why are you putting me on a pedestal? And I think we do this because we're so used to watching other people do things, which is actually very weird. Social media, that is just the time and era that we are in. And so we're seeing these highlights of people. We're seeing like, wow, that person has plants. So that person is rich and earthy. I want to be like that person because they have this plant and they're giving off this earthy energy. Then that means they are doing so much better than me. And I'm just like, yo, make that make sense. From human to human, I'm experiencing this existence just as much as you are. And sure, we experience life through different lenses, through different bodies, through different intensities of emotion. But I still have my ups and my downs. There is no reason why we should be putting anybody on a pedestal. That's why I personally don't understand being a fan that obsessive with another person. Like, oh my gosh, this is a celebrity. They're so rich and they are very talented. But just because they're rich and talented doesn't mean they're not human. Doesn't mean they don't go through things. Doesn't mean they don't experience pain, grief, suffering. This is what we have to come back and ground into, is that we are humans. I am human, you are human. We are all experiencing a range of different things together. There is no one person better or higher than you. It is all an illusion. We all have our own sacred journeys, our own path. And if you allow yourself to project onto other people that they're above me, it's one thing to look up to people. It's another thing to be inspired. It's another thing to act like these things are not attainable because this person has it. This universe is abundant, baby. You can manifest the reality that you want. And if you don't believe that, then that is something you need to work on. When you step off this pedestal, when you start showing up raw, real, and imperfect, they'll be like, you changed. You're so fake. Like, yo, you're so distant. Blah, 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 blah. But you've always been authentic. I find it hilarious because I've experienced people who are like, you are so intimidating and you are stuck up. Why? Because like I have nothing to say, because I keep to myself. I'm not a people person. I don't socialize. But if you actually know my authentic self, this is just a layer. You know I'm goofy as hell. I'm really funny. I'm very chill. I just like to be in my own zone. Not everybody deserves that expression of me. That is also me being authentic. And when I go through grief and I don't want to be around people and then people take that personally, it's like, why did you put this pedestal of me to always be there for you? Like, why can't I be there for myself? When it comes to like my gifts, my talents, my creativity, people will perceive me to be put together, successful. And success is different to everybody. But if you out here trying to compare me to these 1,000 million people who have followers and sales, I'm not the one. So why are you putting me on a pedestal? Because then people want to attach to your good qualities, right? Your good traits, the things that make them feel good. And I'm not just good, I am a being of polarity. So not only is it not fair to me, it's not fair for them to hold this image that there's such thing as perfection. Stepping off of the pedestal means reclaiming your humanity. It's saying, I'm not your mirror. I'm my own person. I know we love to use this analogy of like, you are my reflection. You are a mirror to me. You are a reflection of me, of certain aspects you may have or you may not have. We love using this analogy, but can we also see the reality of that? This is just humanity and that we are not as different from each other than we think. It's a reminder that your light was forged, not gifted. If you guys knew my childhood, my journey, all the darkness I had to go through, then you would know from a person who's experienced the worst that it takes effort. You have to fight for light. You have to fight to come back to love. You have to fight to come back to your true expression of yourself when you've been betrayed, hurt, abandoned, neglected. So next time you think that you should put somebody on a pedestal, I think you should really ask yourself why. Do I know this person? Do I know their life? Because at the end of the day, you're only seeing crumbs. You're only seeing what people allow you to see. My piece was chosen. It was not handed out. My piece was chosen. It was not handed out. Nobody just was like, here's some peace for you. Do what thou wilt. Like, no. The peace came from chaos. You have to know both polarities. One polarity teaches you about the other. That's how life is. So you don't owe anybody perfection to be worthy of respect. You don't. Once we start to reflect and heal, we will realize that we are the center of our own world. And I'm not saying this a conceited way, I'm saying this in a realistic way. You can be a humanitarian and still put yourself first. You can care for thy neighbor and put yourself first. But you have to put yourself first because you are perceiving this reality through this body, through thyself. Sometimes people put you on a pedestal because they simply don't love themselves. They think that proximity to your energy will fix the emptiness that they embody within, and that's just not realistic. You can't heal someone by becoming their fantasy. That's weird. That's weird. If you didn't know that, that's weird. I'm gonna let you know now. The real medicine is being real. Showing that light and shadow coexist together. That growth is messy. It's not pretty. Power doesn't mean being untouchable. It means being whole. When you step off the pedestal that people have created for you, whether you realize it or not, sometimes you don't even know. But once you find out, so to say, once you step down, you allow other people to rise into themselves, into their awareness, into their discomfort, whether you're in their reality or not. That don't matter to me. When you show your cracks, you teach other people how to hold space for their own. When you refuse to be worshipped, you give them permission to be themselves too. And I'm not that type of gal. I'm not that type of gal. If you want to worship me, that's where I draw the line, because that's weird. That's weird. Because then you think I'm going to save you or something. I'm not. We can only save ourselves. And all this to say is, if you feel misunderstood, idolized, or placed on a pedestal, too high to be seen, remember, you don't have to continue living in that illusion. If you are aware of this and you're acting and you're playing the role, you don't have to continue. If you have an idea and it's out of your control, continue being you and being authentic. You do not have to be the person people want you to be just to stroke their egos. Why? Because you matter too. You are allowed to be seen in your softness, in your rest, in your becoming. People who truly see you won't need you to be on a pedestal. They'll stand beside you. If this message resonated with you, or if you've experienced this, please leave a comment below. Share your experience. Please stay tuned with my upcoming videos and check out my other videos. They might resonate with you as well. If you are interested in listening to my music, go to SoundCloud or Spotify, Earth to Nadi. That's Earth to Nady. And if you are interested in purchasing some of my journals, my artwork, my creative pieces, and supporting a sister out, My website will be linked below, but it is www.earthangeltemple.com. Thank you so much, beautiful beings, beautiful souls, for staying in tune with this frequency. And to need as all the love, healing, awareness, truth, and groundedness to live in your authentic self and express your truth. Take care.